Hey guys, welcome back. This week I'm going to break down this graph effect, statistic effect that VOX do every now and again. So let's just jump into it. Now, if you've been here over the last few weeks, you know I've been doing a VOX series. Next week will be my last week doing it. If you have any specific elements you'd like me to work on, please let me know in the comments below. I've actually really enjoyed this, and I think someone left it in the comments below. If I can find it, I'll put it in the video here. But VOX animation is actually pretty simple to do, and once you learn it, you can use it in so many different ways. But it enhances your video so much. I mean, it takes my videos when I implement them, going from like an amateur video into professional level, something that actually got me really far in my degree, but no one actually taught me in my university. I had to go out and learn, and when VOX implemented it, I was like, oh, should have done it this way from the beginning. But anyway, back into this. So first thing we're going to do is open After Effects and start a new comp. 1920 by 1080p, 25 frames per second, and hit OK. Don't worry too much about the background because we can add a solid, but as I want it to be a specific color, I'm going to do like a dark grey. That's not quite nice. Hit OK and OK again. Perfect. Now I want my statistics to to make it really relevant, represent the coronavirus cases in Wales. From when we went into lockdown in March to roughly around the 5th of October. So using these statistics, I've broken it down to 4 months. So I'm going to do March the 5th at 29, May the 5th at 4,460, July at 516, and October at 12,593. It's quite shocking. That's our second peak, but not to worry. That's how I'm going to show different rates and statistics as VOX does. But anyway, back into After Effects. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, new, and text. From there, I'm going to type in 5th of March. Let's center this. Okay, let's center that. I'm going to change the font because this was actually the font I used for my friend's YouTube intro video. Let's go for Helvetica Light. And I'm going to change it from grey to white so it stands out against the grey background. Bring down the size. Perfect. And then let's just move it into place. So essentially what I want it to do is I want March to pop up slowly like this, and then just stay on the page. So to do that, okay, go to the Effects and Presets panel and type in straight, and we need animate in straight by character, and let's drag and drop this in. So if we hit play, the first thing it's doing is bringing in the text from right to left in, and that's kind of what we want, but in the wrong direction. So if we open the, let me move this up. If we open the layer, so we go text and then animator, open up animator range, and here you can see the keyframes. First thing we're going to do is drag the keyframe into 1 second. Okay, and then next thing we're going to do is currently it's still animating right to left. Now we need to move the position here, so I'm going to turn the position to 0, and then roughly around 145, 146. Let's see if that works. Perfect. So now it's changed the angle at which the text is coming in. Now to give it a bit more of a pop, I'm going to highlight these keyframes, right click, go to keyframe assistant, and then easy ease. Now this doesn't do much here apart from changing the keyframe. So click on the graph and make sure you're on the edit speed graph, because if you're in the edit value graph, you get this sort of S shape, and when that's not the one we need to adjust. We need to adjust the speed. So once you have that, click on the end point and drag in to give it a pop. And let's see how that looks. So let's zoom in. Perfect. The only thing now is that we can still see the top of it. So I'm going to go to the end frame, and right underneath it, I'm going to draw a mask in. There you go. So it's as if it's coming up from the mask. Perfect. So that hides that bit there. I'm actually just going to open the mask and add like a 10% feather, just so when it comes through there's a bit of a feather to it. Perfect. Okay, we have the date coming in. The next thing I want to do is a symbol to highlight how many cases we had. Now, first thing you can do is grab the ellipse tool in the corner here, make sure it's the round circle one. Before we start anything, I'm going to choose my fill color. So if it was VOX, it would probably be something yellow like this. But as I'm going to do my own, let's have something quite... How does that seem? That looks good. A red colour, and then change the stroke to 0 because I don't want a stroke on this at all. Then draw a circle on your screen, make sure you hold the shift down and draw a perfect circle. Perfect. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is hit S on the keyboard to bring up scale. I'm going to bring it right down to fit the text size. As I'm increasing or decreasing the size, the shape is actually moving towards this anchor point here. And that's because we haven't centered the anchor point to the image, we've centered it to the composition. Now, to change that, first thing, I'm just going to do 50% because that's roughly the size I believe I want for now. Click on this anchor point tool and grab the anchor point. Now, if you hold Command and click on it, it snaps into place of where you want it to be, and for this it's in the middle of the ellipse tool. Now I think that's still a bit big, so I'm going to go down to 40%. Yeah, that should be good. And then I'm going to move it into place. For some reason, I think this is just me, I can never, once it's a shape like this, if I try and move it, oh, it's going to work now, typical. It never normally lets me, it changes the shape instead. Okay, now that it's with the text, it looks way too big. So hit S on the keyboard and I'm going to do 20. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, oh, see, there it is. See, I can't do it. So if I hit P on the keyboard for position, move it across. Yep, that looks good. Now, each dot represents a case in Wales at the time. So I'm not going to be 100% accurate, but this is just to represent it. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to animate in just after the text comes. So the text can finish its animation at 1 second. So I've got the position open and I'm going to hit the keyframe here for 1 second. I'm going to move to 2. I'm going to insert another keyframe because this is the final point I want it to be. So as it moves in from bottom to up, I'm going to move it in from right to left. I'm going to move it to the right. Just slightly off because don't worry, we're going to come back to it. But, so if I hit play, okay, it's a bit too long. So let's try halfway in between. Let's move this keyframe in. Perfect. Okay. Now, obviously we don't want it to just stand there and then come in. So if you hit T on the keyboard to bring up opacity and click on that stopwatch, hit U on the keyboard to bring up all the keyframes. I'm going to go to the last keyframe which I want it to be positioned at and hit another keyframe to make sure that's 100% invisible. Now this keyframe I'm going to set to 0. So I'm going to move this keyframe in to where the point I want to start seeing it. Maybe another keyframe in. So if we hit play, there we go. It's quite nice. I'm going to pull these forward just a frame too, just to give it some more depth. There we go. Okay, and now we need to bring that pop back in. So if we highlight the keyframes again, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. You should know this in your sleep by now. And then if we highlight the top 2 frames for position and click on the graph, again click on the last keyframes and bring the graph in to give it a pop. Perfect. Now the last thing we need is some sort of timer on the top, just to represent, what do we have? Where was it? 29 cases. Okay. I want to bring, before we do that, I want to bring in 2 more duplications. Okay, so if I turn the top one off for now. No. Okay, so it's this one here, and I'm going to offset it slightly. So I want it to stop here. And then again, let's bring back the top one. P on the keyboard and offset it. So, okay, now we need to enter the 29 cases. So, as we have this animation coming in, and I want to use the same one, I'm just going to duplicate the 5th of March and move it up to the top. Then I'm going to use the position key. I'm going to hit U on the keyboard and offset it slightly, as I want it to start around 1 second. Then move the position key and move it up into place. Once you're happy with that, click on the text tool and highlight it, and I'm going to say 29 cases. Perfect. So we've got 29 coming up. And I just want a circle to come around the 29 to define that there were 29 cases. And it looks a bit more clear. So once at 2 seconds, I'm going to bring in again an ellipse tool, but this time I'm going to increase the stroke by, say, 5. If you click on the word fill, you can click on nothing to fill it. Then I'm going to zoom in for this, holding shift down, draw a circle around 29. Perfect. Move it into place, and again make sure the anchor. We want the circle to animate to define 29, and we can do this pretty simply. If you open up the ellipse layer and then the ellipse and then stroke 1, at the bottom here you can see dash. So if we add 1 set of dashes, you can see instantly how many dashes there's going to be. Now I'm going to increase it to like a crazy amount so we get like a full circle. Perfect. And then I'm going to click on offset. So essentially this is how we're going to animate it coming in, and it needs to be quite high. Perfect. Okay, so I just need to say when I'm going to start. So once the 9 hits there, boom, just before it starts, yep, I'm going to click on dash and offset, and I'm going to go in a few frames, probably halfway between 2 and 3, and I'm going to bring the dash, and I'm going to bring the offset down, so it's a full circle. Again, right click, highlight, keyframe assistant, easy ease. I like it in your sleep. Highlight the bottom 2 rows, right click, graph, it's not in my sleep clearly, and then give it a pop. Perfect. I'm going to highlight all the layers, right click and click on pre-crop, and then from there I'm going to name this March. So that's our March composition. Now in the project panels, I'm going to duplicate the composition here, and for this March 2, don't open it yet, I'm going to change March, forgot you right click, I'm going to rename this as May, and then bring this down into comp 1 above March, and I'm going to position it right next to it. Perfect. Now look at May's cases, it went up by 4,406. That's a big number, wow. And that was when we were properly in lockdown. Now to do that, I can go back like I did in March and duplicate each of the dots as a separate layer. Now that does work, but it's going to take a long time to do, and frankly I don't really have the time. So I'm going to select this furthest one away here, and the other 2 I'm going to delete. Okay, and don't worry, it'll make sense soon. So open up this layer, open content, open ellipse, and then you'll see this add button here in the corner. If you click on that, you've got all these options here, and this one we're going to click on is repeaters. Open repeaters when it comes in, and it'll give you an instant copy. So let me zoom in to see what it's doing. It's repeating this shape you have however many times you want. So I want it to go across, say, by 10 is fine, but the offset needs to be 10 is fine. Then open up transform repeaters. So this is transform settings only for repeaters, and I'm going to change its position so they spread out better. Now, the problem here is it goes way over the text on each side. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring it down to 4. Because that's how many I want. And I'm going to move the position. This is where it gets a bit sticky. So, I'm going to move the position of this first one slightly to, say, let me zoom into the key. Make sure I'm on the right keyframe. I'm going to move it slightly to my left, so it's above the 5th. There we go. And then I can go back into here and bring in the position so they're slightly bit more tighter. See, and that's when I can increase to, say, 5. There we go. Okay, so I have 5 rows here. So, but that only represents, that doesn't represent 4,000 cases. So I'm just going to close this for now, and I'm going to change the 5th of March to the 5th of May. Again, I'm just going to reposition this slightly so it's perfect under the circles. Again, now, next thing I need to do is change the numbers. So move in when they're there. I'm going to change it to 4406. But we now need to change the circle to make it bigger. So again, in the shape, hit U to bring up the keyframes. And they're just the dash and offset. So I can change the scale. So hit S on the keyboard. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, now this is too low for me to put in any more dots. So I need to highlight both the number and the circle. Hit P on the keyboard and move them up. Let's zoom out a bit. 4,000 cases, probably roughly around here. Okay, perfect. Now, back in this shape tool where the repeaters are, I'm going to hit add again and add in another repeater. Perfect. Now this time, I'm going to increase these by, say, another 5. But when I open this repeaters transform, I'm going to go up instead of across. There we go. Make it straight. Bring it down. Okay, bro. Now I can increase them more accurately. There we go. As we've done all the work from the previous composition, we just have to hit play, and these slight changes will bring everything in. Perfect. So let's have a look. Now the only problem is they all come in at the same time. So let's change it. So I want it to, once it's done March, circle hit. I want May to start coming in. Now that you have the template set up, just repeat the steps for July and October. Perfect. So really it's 3 steps. One for the text, one for the circle, and one for this round circle here, and that's it. Seriously, how simple is VOX? It just elevates your work to a new level, and VOX is so simple and so elegant that honestly looks like serious work has gone into it, but it's not really. But anyways, that's it for this week. Hit a like if you enjoyed this video, guys. Drop a comment below to let me know what you'd like in the final episode of this VOX series. I'm here every week, so hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And as always, stay inspired.